own limitations, and sometimes people, they tend to exaggerate, and oral tradition is also biased in some cases. For example, we talk of the issue that the builders of Great Zimbabwe, they are disputed between the Shona and the whites. That on its own, it's a clear sign that oral tradition again has its own what? Limitations. That's when we need written records. Written records, they come again to try to come to complement these other two sources, for example, through written records. But however, written records, they've got a challenge. Later on, I'm going to explain why. Because most of the Shona states were pre-literate. In other words, they couldn't write, they couldn't read. So you realize that if you talk of the same, you talk of maybe people in Great Zimbabwe, they did not leave any written evidence. So therefore, we will see actually the importance of written records, maybe starting from 1500. We talk of Mutapa state going forward. Even though the people of Great Zimbabwe, they traded with the Arabs, they left very few documents. So that is the challenge again. But however, written records, they're important. For example, we talk of the examples. For example, the people of actually the Portuguese, they recorded the names of the people who ruled Mutapa, and they also actually recorded the trading centers. We know of THWALA, we know of so many trading centers at Mutapa state because of written records. The Portuguese, they've been recording their trading centers, the trading activities at Mutapa. But you realize something, the written records, they also have got they are also subjective, because the writer writes what he wants to write. And another thing we talk of, we also have got information about that Lobengula signed the right concession, and we also have got written evidence that was left. For example, we talk of the concessions such as the right concession, we talk of the global treaty, we all have those things. So it's a sign that written records, they are also important. They played a pivotal role to the reconstruction of Zimbabwean history. But guys, make sure that you know about the weaknesses of written records. They are also biased in some cases. You know, the writers, they always write. For example, when you talk of the Zimbabwean history, most of the white writers, actually, they wanted to make Africans to be people with no history, because they wanted to pave way for colonization. So you realize whatever they wrote was just bias, because they had an aim, and the aim was to colonize Zimbabwe. So most of them, they were exaggerating even through their writings. If you read some of the writings from people like John Smith Moffat, they've been writing actually portraying Ndebele as miserable people, as bloodthirsty, as warmongers. Why? Because these guys, they were frustrated because they failed to convert the Ndebeles. So whatever they wrote, it was just actually, they were exaggerating, they were writing biased information so as to invite imperialists to come and do what, guys? So as to invite imperialists to come and colonize Zimbabwe. So not all the information can be trustworthy when we are dealing with the written records, especially when we are reading from the Eurocentric perspective. All right, another thing, guys, it is important, even though, like we said, written records, they've got its own limitations. So there is a need again, guys, to include another source. Maybe talk of rock art. Are you together? Rock art has been very important actually to the recovery of the history of the same, guys. It is very important. Make sure that you read about the rock art.